actions with courage, kumbaga. So actually, resilience and courage for me, yun ang talagang two words na sana tumatak sa inyo ngayong umaga pagdating sa pag-aalaga sa ating mental health. Okay, so nasabi ko nga kanina, welcome to everyone who's here. I wish I could see all your faces, pero okay lang, shy tayo minsan. Pwede namang naka-off lang ang cam throughout this whole activity. Pero yun, alam ko naman na nandyan kayong lahat. So let's get to know each other first before we start kasi syempre mahalaga din, 'di ba, na we know kung sinong kausap ko sa room na to and kung ano din yung kung saan kayo galing and kung nakapunta kayo dun sa first na webinar natin. So using the chat box, can you please let me know your name, your local church, or siguro yung district nyo? And then if you attended the first seminar or workshop to say, ready ka na for part 2, parang ganon. Just so that I can have an idea as well kung sino yung makausap ko ngayong umaga. Okay, so sino po ba to? Good morning, Miss Evangeline Castillo. Okay. Pwede po ba pakitype lang yung mga pwede pong mag-type dyan? Alam ko yung iba sa atin parang 3 or 5 sa isang computer. Pero that's okay if you can type all your names. Why not, diba? Next naman si Sir Kier. Talagang number 1 supporter ko to eh. Pero yes, CMD. Kier, 29 ka pa lang ba? Sure ka? Talagang tinanong ko. Okay. Anyway, sino pa po? Your name, your local church, and if you've attended the first SCYD webinar, pa-share naman po para alam ko. Okay. Hello, Alea! Ang fun no kasi nakalagay Alexia tas si Alea ang sumagot. Okay lang yan. Okay. Hello po, Pastor. Ayan, so meron sa atin ready na nga for part 2 kasama mga YP. Hi Matthew, hi Pastor Enrico from Muñoz UMC. Alright, o diba may mga bisita talaga tayo. Uy, grabing support talaga ng CMD sa atin nyo. Salamat! Pati si Pauline. Okay, si Teacher Vivian din. Alright, welcome to you all. Pala natawa naman ako kasi ay, nag-participate. Okay, give me a few moments kasi knowing na siguro malami sa atin hindi nakakita nung una kong ipopost ko muna ang share. Okay, sige. Okay, so for those who are joining us for the first time, parang church lang no, nag-welcome ako. I'm going to share with you yung PowerPoint or handout natin from the first webinar kasi feeling ko parang yun sana yung primer for today. So you can look over that. Tinagay ko na sa chat box. So you can go ahead and access that file para kumbaga meron kayong idea kung anong pinag-usapan nung unang webinar. Okay. Yan. Hello, Teacher Sally from Rosales UMC. O, ayan, may SEPD na din tayo. Welcome. Welcome po sa inyong lahat. Okay. Last 2 minutes po siguro or masyadong mahaba ba yung 2 minutes? Kasi meron din namang mga waiting din sa waiting room natin ngayon. Sige. O, diba? May taga-Nepak din. Hello, Queenie, 25. DS Dardulo po from Nelpak. Wow, hello po. Welcome, welcome. Yes, all over Bea po pala tayo ngayong umaga. Salamat, Care, sa pag-advertise or market. All right. Sige. Start na po tayo, no? Kung gusto niyo po pong magpakilala throughout, that's very welcome. Okay, so first I'm going to talk about ano bang pag-uusapin natin ngayong umaga. So if you've heard me speak, lagi ko tong ginagawa, pero talagang before I speak, I want you to know what we're going to talk about and what to expect. Kasi feeling ko kailangan alam nyo yon para pwede kayong mag-decide, itutuloy ko ba to? Parang ganon. So what will we be talking about today? First, mental health review na lang po kasi dun sa first webinar, we spent the whole session talking about mental health in general. So ngayon, medyo review na lang siya. Tapos what else? We're going to talk a little bit about how the brain works. And ops, bago kayo ma-stress na hala, umagang-umaga wala pa akong brain cells para sa biology. That's okay. I'm going to keep it very, very simple para lahat tayo parang feeling natin mas may alam tayo tungkol sa brain ng konti. And I'm going to be talking about the cognitive triangle. It sounds like a scary thing, pero I promise it's not so scary. We're going also to talk about managing thoughts, feelings, and behavior. And last but not the least, which is really the goal of this morning, we're going to find ways to be courageous and resilient. All right. So now that you know what we're going to talk about, these are other disclaimers as well, just about how we're going to relate to each other this morning, no? So number one, I am very open to feedback. So if I'm talking too fast, kung masyado namang slow, kung hindi nyo na-gets yung isa kong point, you can go ahead and use the chat box para sabihin sa akin, ate, masyado kang excited, wait lang, parang ganon. I encourage you to be open and curious. Kasi, yung iba sa mga pag-uusapan natin ngayon, dahil nga medyo bago ang mental health, baka weird siya or awkward na parang, hala, totoo ba yan? Ganon. Pero all I'm asking for is openness and curiosity. You don't have to leave this webinar agreeing to everything I say. So take what's meaningful for you and parang maging critical din tayo sa pag-accept ng information. Parang ganon. You may feel uncomfortable. So like I said, mental health is a very huge topic and sometimes there are things that can be triggering or parang may nasabi ako tapos may naalala ka about yourself or your past and that can be uncomfortable, no? So please take care of yourselves throughout this time. What does that mean? Kung kailangan nyo ng break, kung kailangan nyo mag-CR or kumain or uminom, go ahead and do all those things. Kung may kailangan kayong i-process agad, you can go ahead and text your friends na, hala, may sinabi na ganito, naalala ko yung ganyan. Wala akong problem sa mga ganon. Go ahead and take care of yourselves throughout this talk. Alright, kaya nga nang sabi ko kanina, take what's meaningful and helpful for you. There might be a lot of information this morning, so pick and choose kumbaga kung ano sa tingin nyo yung mas makakatulong sa inyo. And last but not the least, there will be a chance to ask me questions at the end. So maybe sabi nga ni Teacher Rosie, no, na pwedeng mag-raise ng hand. Pwede po yun. Pero I also encourage siguro na to type your questions in the chat box and then tignan natin kung masagot siya throughout my talk. And then kung hindi, may time tayo sa dulo para tignan yung mga yan. Alright, so that was a lot. Disclaimers pa lang yon. I hope na okay pa kayo, may coffee boost or energy boost ngayong umaga. Pwede bang thumbs up kung ready na tayo for part 2 and I will continue. Sino dyan ang nagsa-thumbs up na? Ready? Okay, sila teacher? Alright. Okay. Sige, push. Let's go. So, primarily, no, yung talagang pagsasalita ko ngayong umaga, talagang pang young people. So, sila DS Pastor, lahat naman po tayo young at heart. So, kayang-kaya yan. Okay, let's start with our mental health review. And siguro kung nakapunta na kayo sa first na webinar, parang engage nyo din, alam ko na yan ate, parang ganon. Try nyo na ding i-explain yung slide ko. Practice na yan. Okay, so first, what is mental health? Kaya nga nang sabi natin nung una, mental health is about your thoughts, your feelings, and your behaviors, and how all these things allow you to cope with life. Kumbaga, di ba, ang buhay maraming stressor, maraming challenges, even the things na sa tingin natin hindi stressful or hindi challenging, at the end of the day, life asks you to respond in certain ways. And yung mental health natin, yung pag-respond dun, yung sa thoughts, yung sa feelings, kung paano tayo nag-iisip tungkol sa mga experience natin, lahat yon ay part ng mental health. So, for example, iisipin natin every time na merong stressful na situation and it's asking you to respond in a certain way. For example, meron kang test sa school or even as little as anong kakainin mo ngayong umaga, merong range of responses na pwedeng gawin ng isang tao. And sabi nga natin, those range from being very healthy to very unhealthy. So, kumbaga, you have a lot of choices when it comes to coping with stressors in life. So, nagiging issue lang siya, nagiging concerning pag a person is responding to situations in very unhealthy ways. So, kumbaga, kung usually, 'di ba, the ways we respond should help us. Pero para sa ibang tao, yung way ng pag-respond nila, hindi na pala siya healthy. So, mas nagkaka-harm siya sa sarili or sa ibang tao. So, paano natin magi-gauge, 'di ba, kung kamusta nga ba ang mental health natin or ng mga kasama natin sa buhay? Pwede natin gamitin itong mental health checklist. Okay, so we're going to look at 5 major areas pagdating sa mental health. And all of these involve your thoughts, your feelings, and the way that you're behaving or the way that you're acting. Okay, so number one, are you able to express and regulate your emotions well? So what does that mean? Iniisip natin, kamusta ba yung feelings mo? Parang ganon. Are you mad all the time? Masyado ka bang malungkot? And all these things are okay, right? But the issue is, are we expressing and regulating in healthy ways? So okay lang na umiyak, pero hindi okay yung 2 days ka nang hindi lumalabas ng kwarto dahil sa iyak mo or dahil sa sadness mo, right? So, ganun nga, sabi natin, it's a spectrum of healthy to unhealthy responses. Ano pa yung mga pwede nating isipin pagdating sa emotions? For example, okay lang na magalit, ma-frustrate, normal yun ng mga feelings. Pero ang hindi okay yung nananakit tayo ng iba or sinasaktan din natin ang sarili natin. So we're really looking at kamusta ba yung pag-express ng emotions and yung intensity and yung duration bumababa ba? Parang ganon. This also does not mean, for example, yung mga iba dyan, pag may nafe-feel sila na emotion, usually, di ba, minsan ang iba sa atin, ay, wala akong nafe-feel, numb, denial, parang ganon. So, I'm sorry to tell you this morning, but even numbing, for long periods of time or yung parang dine-deny natin na may mga emotional experiences tayo, parang hindi din yun gano'n ka-healthy. Kasi may rason naman kung bakit tayo may mga nararamdaman na emotions. All right. So number two, are you able to cope with the demands of school, your work, or pati sa family, no? So pagdating sa mga responsibilities, we're thinking about, are you able to show up to all these things in daily life in healthy ways? Kumbaga, kung sa school, okay pa ba yung attention mo sa class, nagagawa mo pa ba yung assignments mo, or parang dati okay naman pero bakit ngayon medyo nahihirapan ka na mag-submit ng requirements kasi masyado kang overwhelmed in all these things. Even as simple, for example, as taking a bath or doing chores in the house. Alam ko po marami sa ating parents, narinig ko din yung nanay ko sa utak ko, pero, Almae, ano ba yan? Bangon ka na, umaga na. And sometimes, may ganun nga talaga na siguro hindi lang talaga natin na gustong bumangon. Pero minsan talaga, may situations, especially when it comes to mental health, na nahihirapan talaga ang iba sa atin na gawin yung mga simpleng bagay. Kasi nga, pagod na tayo sa mental health natin or taking care of our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. Okay. So ano pa, number 3, are you able to take care of yourself physically? So this looks like kung gaano karami yung hours of sleep. So kung natulog ka ba ng masyadong konti or masyadong mahaba, pagdating din sa pagkain, are you eating too little or too much? Ano pa? And at the other end of this, for example, di ba yung sa spectrum natin ng healthy to unhealthy, what if you are engaging in self-harming behavior? Di ba? What are self-harming behaviors? For example, cutting, taking medication that you shouldn't be taking, hurting yourself with objects or on the wall, parang ganon. What else are self-harming behaviors? Pati yung pag-abuse ng alcohol or certain drugs, parang ganon. All these things are harmful for the body pero parang hindi natin mapigilan na gawin kasi yun yung way natin para mag-cope. Right? And of course, at the end of this, yung parang pinaka-unhealthy kumbaga is if we're having suicidal thoughts or suicidal intent na parang naiisip natin, ay, sana hindi na lang ako magising bukas or sana hindi na lang ako nabuhay, parang ganon. So these thoughts are, 'di ba, kakaiba kasi kung tutuusin ang expectation natin, everyone wants to take care of themselves. But sometimes we get to certain points in our lives for some people na parang it's really hard to keep facing life and doing all these things. So yun ang nakikita din natin na option when it comes to coping, ganon. Okay, what else? Ang dami ko na atang nasabi. Are you able to build and maintain healthy relationships? So part din po talaga ng pakikitungo natin sa ibang tao, part po ito ng mental health natin. So if you notice that you're isolating or withdrawing, yung tipong ayaw mo nang makisalamuha sa friends mo, dati okay naman, fun ka, lagi kang game na lumabas, pero ngayon medyo may difference na, gusto mo mag-isa ka na lang sa room mo lagi, yung mga ganong bagay, warning signs yun na maybe there's something going on with your mental health. Kaya nag-iba yung kumbaga yung outlook mo pagdating sa pakikisalamuha sa ibang tao. And last but not the least, which I know usually ito talaga yung naiisip ng mga tao tungkol sa mental health, it's about thinking rationally or ano tawag dito? Or realistically, right? So merong part nga ng mental health and usually it's called psychosis. Kumbaga, these are people who struggle with seeing the world in a certain way. So minsan may naririnig sila or may nakikita na wala naman talaga doon or hindi nagtutugma yung mga thoughts nila, parang hindi mo sila maintindihan. Yun yung kumbaga very unhealthy na side nung part na to ng mental health. Pero it can even be as simple as what if you're not seeing your situation very objectively, no? For example, feeling mo yung friend mo, sinin zone ka kasi ganito, ganyan, pero hindi pala yun yung totoo or biased pala yung opinion mo na yun. Minsan kasi kung hindi natin nakikita yung situations in the most realistic and logical way, nahihirapan din tayo ng mag-respond in the best way kasi either we're fearful, we're scared to do certain things and we avoid them, parang ganun. So yun naman yung medyo sa gitna na part ng spectrum ng healthy to unhealthy. So like I said, why am I saying all these things today? Ang bottom line po talaga natin is mental health illnesses happen when people are responding to their situations in very unhealthy ways. So it's not a question of right or wrong. It's not a question of are we going to judge people because they're struggling with life, parang ganon. No, all we're really saying is siguro may unhealthy lang sila na behaviors na kailangang i-address or kailangan pag-usapan para maging mas okay yung pag-cope nila sa buhay. Kasi nga, there is a difference between feeling anxious and having an anxiety disorder. So anxiety, sabi ko nga kanina, our emotions are there for a reason. So it's normal to feel sad, to feel depressed, to feel grief, but it's different pag meron ka ng disorder or pag sasabihin sa'yo ng professional na this is already at this level. Kasi ibig sabihin nun, iba na yung intensity niya, kailangan na ng mas intense na treatment, parang ganon. And that's okay. Para lang din yun pumunta ka ng hospital and nagpa-check up na kung siguro akala mo regular lang na fever, pero yun pala may inflammation na sa organs natin, no? So in the same way, ganun din pagdating sa mental health. Siguro feeling natin, normal pa naman, pero yun pala baka may underlying na factors na kailangang i-consider. So mahalaga na magpakonsulta din tayo sa mga mental health professionals kasi it's one thing to look at our situations using this mental health checklist. Pero if you're really concerned, and nandun din po ito sa sinend ko earlier, no? If you really want to know how someone is doing, it's good to go to a professional about it. So just one of my favorite people to follow as well on Instagram, si Dr. Caroline Lee. Sabi niya, anxiety and depression are emotional warning signs alerting you that something is going on in your life that needs to be addressed. You are in a state of disequilibrium. It's not a sign of a defective brain. Okay, so lots of big words there. Ang point lang nila, there's nothing parang inherently wrong with you if you're experiencing mental health issues. It's a normal part of life. And at the end of the day, the hope is for everyone to be able to cope with life stressors in the best way. So, tulungan na lang tayo towards that. Okay. So, segue tayo ngayon tungkol sa brain. Alam ko medyo mabilis and ang dami kong nasabi tungkol sa mental health review. Pero ngayon naman, let's talk about the brain in a very simple way, no? Okay, so narinig niyo na ba ito? Yung parang, di ba, kung sasabihin mo sa isang tao, I love you with all of my heart, di ba? Pero today, I'm going to suggest na parang, alam nyo ba, hindi naman yung heart natin yung nagde-decide kung sino ba ang mahal natin or gaano kalakas ba yung pagmamahal natin. Kasi actually, it's a part of the brain. And kung bio kayo, med students, hala, let me know kung mali ito ha. Pero 'di ba, and the brain is actually very complicated in some or complex in some ways. So talagang isi-simplify lang natin ngayong umaga. So yung emotions natin is actually regulated by a part of the brain called the hypothalamus. Meron na bang na-trigger ngayon? Ate, 'di ba, bakasyon ngayon, bakit tayo bumabalik sa school? Pero ang point kasi ngayong umaga, gusto ko lang i-share sa inyo that at the end of the day, the brain is the one who controls all your thoughts, your feelings, and behaviors. So pagdating talaga sa mental health, siya ang bida, parang ganon. So, syempre yes naman, salamat po Pastor Eric. So yes, galing nga sa hypothalamus, diba? So next time na magsabi po kayo ng I love you, joke lang, okay lang yun. Gets naman na yun ng mga mahal natin sa buhay. Pero I'm saying this today kasi 'di ba, kung yung brain pala natin yung nagde-decide tungkol sa mga ganitong bagay, 'di ba usually wala tayong alam tungkol sa kung paano nagwo-work yung brain. So paano din natin alam kung paano siya aayusin or paano natin siya hahanapan ng solusyon, parang ganon. So ngayon, pag-uusapan natin kung paano nga ba siya nagwo-work ng konti para alam din natin kung paano siya tutulungan, parang 'di ba? So for example, 'di ba may sira yung laptop nyo or yung cellphone nyo, pumupunta kayo sa isang repair shop. Ganito din pagdating sa brain. Not that your brains are inherently wrong nga, 'di ba sabi ko kanina. That's okay. We just want to find better ways of coping with life. Okay, so just a few facts about your brain. Like I said, it's the control station of your body. So siya talaga ang nagdidikta kung anong gagawin sa thoughts, sa feelings, and behaviors. And minsan, out of your awareness pa yon. Parang ang ibig kong sabihin doon, at the snap of a finger, may gagawin na siya or kahit hindi mo pa naisip kung anong gagawin mo, actually, may ginagawa na yung brain mo about certain things, no? Ano pa, it loves meaning and it likes quick and easy. Okay, so meron akong test na ilalagay dito. Kung psych majors kayo, you've probably heard this before. Pero meron akong ilalagay sa chat box. Ano sa tingin niyong ibig sabihin nung linagay ko sa chat box? So, pwede kayong mag-chat or isipin nyo lang, ano kaya yung linagay ni Almae dun sa chat box? Anong ibig sabihin nun? Okay. Meron na ba kayong ideas kung ano to? Okay. Na-shock ba kayo sa riddle ko ng konti? Or ayaw nyo lang sabihin ang sagot? Okay. So, yung iba sa atin hindi alam, no? Pero yung iba sa mga young people, alam na nila. Okay, that's okay. Pero at the end of the day kasi, what I'm trying to show you today is that our brains like to think in meaning. So, imbis na isipin mo na NKKLK, mas madaling isipin, ay, alam ko yan, nakakaloka. Parang ganon. So, dinugtungan na niya ng letters, kumbaga. So, ganon lang ka-amazing ang brain natin na, syempre, mas mahirap kasi kung iisipin niya, ano kaya yung NKKLK? Naku, ang hirap, nakaka-stress. Pero if you're able to say, ay, alam ko tong word na to, siguro nakakaloka. So yung ganun, parang mas kakalma yung brain mo. Kasi, shucks, alam natin to guys. Parang ganun. So it loves meaning and it likes things quick and easy. Ano pa, its main job, at the end of the day talaga, ang gusto naman ng brains natin ay tulungan tayo at protektahan tayo so that we're able to function in life, di ba, yung nakakakilos tayo ng okay. Pero kasi, ito yung important na part ngayong umaga. Sometimes, the brain thinks it's being helpful, but in reality or in the long run, it is actually not. So, anong examples nito? Okay, try natin ito ha. Just because something is quick, easy, makes sense, and feels safe doesn't mean it is actually the most helpful. So bibigyan ko kayo lahat ulit ng example ngayong umaga. Sino dito ang mahilig sa gulay? Thumbs up. Tingnan natin. Sinong mahilig po sa gulay? Ampalaya. Yun lang bang naisip ko na gulay? Okay, maraming gulay. Alright, so okay, siguro half the room mahilig sa gulay, no? So, alam naman natin, di ba, na helpful sa atin, sa katawan natin ang gulay. Pero bakit minsan mas gusto nating mag-ice cream, mas gusto nating kumain ng chichirya? Kasi nga, it feels good in the moment. So, akala ng brain, kailangan ko to, sugar to, ang sarap kasi sa feeling, 'di ba? Pero in the long run, it may not be that helpful. So, kaya ako sinasabi na minsan kailangan ng tulong ng brain na talagang mag-decide kung talaga bang okay or healthy or hindi healthy ang naiisip niya na paraan para protektahan or tulungan ka. Okay. So ngayon, yun ang gagawin natin. We're going to help our brain be better at protecting us, protecting us, taking care of us, and all these things. So, sana ready na kayo kasi medyo mapapaisip tayo ng konti dito sa next part. Okay, I'm going to be talking about what we call the cognitive triangle. So, ano sa tingin yung ibig sabihin nitong cognitive triangle based sa ating drawing ngayong umaga? Talagang teacher ang type ko ngayon, no? Pagbigyan nyo na po ako, pasensya na. Okay, so obviously, syempre keywords natin, cognitive, cognition, syempre naisip nyo siguro, ay, tungkol sa brain yan. Tapos triangle, syempre shape. Diba? So you can kind of tell, and then based sa mga drawings na nilagay ko dyan. So the cognitive triangle is just a way for you to think about how your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors are related to each other. So maririnig nyo to lalo na sa kung na-encounter nyo na ang cognitive behavioral therapy or mga psychoeducation materials tungkol sa brain, usually ginagamit talaga to kasi I think it's a very simple and helpful way to think about how you'll decide to cope or manage yung different thoughts and behaviors nyo, no? So I'm going to explain this as best as I can. Kung hindi kayo masyadong sure kung anong ibig kong sabihin, please let me know sa chat box para mag-isip ako ng ibang way kung paano ko siya i-explain. Pero ang point lang niya, so sa tatlong sides ng triangle na to, meron tayong thoughts, feelings, and behavior. And interconnected or related lahat yan sa isa't isa. So, your thoughts affect your feelings affect your behavior affects your thoughts, and all the way around, your thoughts affect your behavior. Parang lahat sila interconnected, they affect each other. So, I'll give you an example. So, sabihin natin, ito yung feeling nyo, magsa-start ako dun sa feeling na part. I feel disappointed about the results. Siguro meron kang exam or meron kang ginawang project or task, tapos hindi okay yung naging resulta. So, na-disappoint ka, diba? So, ang thought mo, pwedeng dahil disappointed ka, ang iisipin mo, shucks, hindi ako nag-work hard enough. It's all my fault. And pag ganun, ano yung magiging behavior? Pwedeng yung response mo ay mag-isolate ka, hindi ka aalis ng kwarto mo for 2 days. Alright. So there's no judgment here again. These are all things that can really happen with us. And it's hard to say nga kung bakit ganun ang nangyari. Pero minsan talagang pwedeng mangyari ang mga ganitong bagay. And instead of being judgmental, let's just think about how to help people who may be dealing with these types of things. Okay. So, bibigyan ko kayo ng example na kung isa lang dyan ang baguhin natin, pwedeng magbago yung buong outcome nung experience na to. So, kung ito yung triangle natin, ang pwede kong baguhin ay yung thought. Sa totoo lang po kasi, ang feelings mahirap baguhin. Wow! May hugot ba dun si ate? Pero, ang point kasi, yung feelings natin, like, di ba sinabi kanina, they're warning signs. And sometimes, they just tell us that something is wrong. So, usually, kung ano yung feeling mo, that's okay. We can accept that, no? Ang mas madaling baguhin, actually, is yung thoughts natin. So, kung yung feeling mo, disappointed ka dun sa result, paano kung yung isipin mo, I know I could have done better. I can try again later. Okay. So, pag ganun na yung thought mo, yung behavior mo, you allow yourself to cry, you can tell a friend, and then you move forward. All right. So, just by changing a certain thought, just by thinking about our experience in a different way, na iba yung action and naging mas helpful in the long run yung naging coping, kumbaga, yung naging response ng brain natin. So I'm going to give you another example. Children, listen carefully. Or students, okay, ito naman, next. For example, ang feeling natin frustrated and angry because of something someone said. So alam ko sobrang normal nito, no, in the span of a day, 'di ba? Minsan talagang may mga nasasabi yung mga tao sa paligid natin na nakakainis at nakaka-frustrate. So ano yung pwedeng thoughts mo doon? Paano yung nasabi ng tao na to, nakakainis siya. Pero at the same time, napapaisip tayo na, shucks, kung nasabi na yun, ibig sabihin, totoo siguro yun. Totoo yun about me, di ba? And then what happens is, pwedeng yung behavior natin, you block that person on social media and tweet about them in a bad way. Alright. So, syempre, kung isipin natin yung behavior na yun, hindi okay in the long run kasi we're perceived in certain ways and baka mas maging dramatic pa kumbaga yung situation. This time, kung kanina, change ko yung thought, ngayon naman, yung behavior ang i-change ko. So what if you feel frustrated and angry because of what someone said, but before you choose to do something, you pause, and you take deep breaths. Parang, wait lang, chill muna ako, kalma muna ako kasi alam kong kailangan ko to bago ako mag-decide kung anong gagawin ko. So pag kumalma ka na, pag nakapag-pause ka na, you took deep breaths, medyo bumaba na yung frustration, yung anger mo ng konti, hindi kailangan mawala completely. Kasi 'di ba if someone hurt you, minsan hindi umaalis yun right away. Pero what this does kasi it helps you think clearer. Kasi usually pag nasa emotions tayo, itong frontal part ng ating brain, dito kasi yung nagbibigay ng chance sa atin na mag-isip talaga ng consequences, tumutulong sa decision making. Pag masyado tayong galit, pag nasa emotions tayo, para siyang naka-shut off. So hindi tayo nagde-decide as best as we can. So kailangan kumalma muna tayo para mas maging creative tayo sa paghahanap ng solution or thoughts. So sabi dito, dahil take ka ng time to rest and pause, yung thought mo na iba. Sabi mo, shucks, nasaktan talaga ako sa sinabi nila na yon. Pero siguro, pwede ko silang kausapin later on sa isang healthy way tungkol sa nangyari para din ma-resolve yung conflict or para ma-repair yung relationship. So, diba, like I said, just by changing one of the things in this triangle, we're able to kind of change the whole experience and the way that we're responding to certain situations in our lives. Okay, so now I'm going to be talking about each part of this triangle and ano yung mga pwede nating gawin to cope with them better. So, inuna ko ang feelings. Gusto kong malaman, sino dito ang may healthy relationship sa feelings niya? Yung parang gusto mo na nag-express, very in tune ka sa kung anong nararamdaman nyo. Kung ikaw yun, pwedeng heart react naman dyan. Yung parang you know when you're sad, you know when you're frustrated, alam mo kung disappointed. Okay, so may iba sa atin, no? Na my hearts. Okay. Tapos honestly naman, sino naman dito ang parang, no, feelings are useless. You need to be at your thoughts. It's better to think about things before you feel things. And there's nothing wrong with that, no? So some of us are more comfortable with our thoughts than our feelings. All right. So that's all right. Pero this morning, and it's even important to know kung sino ka din ba ang ganun, 'di ba? Kasi minsan, pag hindi mo alam kung mas comfortable ka sa feelings or thoughts, hindi mo din siguro napapansin kung may mga actions ka na hindi pala ganun ka-helpful. So, first thing I want you to think about today is ma-feeling ka ba or ma-thoughts? Wow. So anyway, pero the point is today, I want to let you know that our feelings are there for a purpose. So, isa sa mga favorite ko na explanation nito ay yung movie na Inside Out. Ay, okay. Yung nag-raise po ba ng hand, gusto pong mag-share ng thoughts niya? Ay, wala na po teacher, parang natanggal po sa akin. Okay. Binaba na po niya ata yung hand niya. Okay, anyway, so I'll keep going po. Again, if you have questions, you can choose the chat box and then later on, kung hindi ko nasagot, edi sasagutin ko doon. Okay, may part dito na hihingi ako ng mga thoughts nyo right after this. Okay, so let's go back to feelings for a bit. Like I said, di ba dun sa movie na Inside Out, kung maalala nyo yung mga characters doon, they were based on feelings. And at the end of the day, we have to learn talaga to live with our feelings kasi may rason bakit sila nandyan. So, di ba, binigyan tayo ni Lord ng ability to feel emotions. So, there might be a way to express them and manage them in ways that are helpful rather than unhelpful. So my first here is express feelings in healthy ways. Like I said, it's okay to cry. It's okay to be mad or frustrated or hurt because someone said something. The only thing is we have to express them in healthy ways, in ways that don't hurt us or hurt the people around us. All right. So, pati, I'm going to advocate this as well. Alam ko kasi na siguro kung lalaki ka, no, napalaki ka in a certain way, parang sinasabi natin hindi pwedeng umiyak kasi sign yun of weakness. Pero the trend nowadays is really allowing everyone, whether you're male or female, it's okay to cry kasi nga actually healthy din yun para sa eyes natin. Pero kasi for example, ito yung makikita nyo, no, women are more expected to cry, so they're more in tune with their emotions. And then males, ang mas in-expect natin ay galit sila, naiinis, parang ganun. Pero at the bottom kasi of that anger and frustration are a lot of other feelings such as disappointment, grief, sadness. So the more that we're allowing ourselves to label these feelings and express them, the better we can be at managing them. Okay, gaya ng sabi ko, label them, know your feelings. Ano bang nafe-feel ko ngayon? Galit ba ako? Disappointed? And mas marami pang feeling words. So kung happy, sad, mad, sad lang ang alam nyo, maybe we need to be more aware about what other emotions are out there. Guilt, shame, emotions din po lahat yon. Okay, so learn to manage overwhelming feelings. So feeling ko ito yung isa sa mga pinakamahirap na gawin, di ba? Na pag nalulungkot ka, pag naiinis ka, when you're dealing with things such as grief or shame or guilt, parang hindi natin kayang magstay dun sa feeling na yun and naghahanap tayo ng escape. Pati fear, anxieties, no? Pero it takes practice and it takes sitting with yourself na parang, okay, I feel this way, it's okay, it'll pass eventually. So it takes time to be able to say that. So ang suggestion ko talaga sa inyo is kahit paunti-unti lang na i-practice natin na magstay tayo sa mga uncomfortable na feelings natin. So when you stay, you also allow yourself to be open, curious, and process. Bakit ko nga ba ito nararamdaman? Anong kailangan ko ngayon? Mga ganong bagay. And last but not the least, knowing the difference between your thoughts and feelings. So, minsan kasi, for example, sasabihin ko, wow, kamusta ka ngayon? Anong nafe-feel mo? Tapos ang sagot sa akin, iniisip ko kasi kung anong gagawin ko ngayong umaga. Okay, kung talagang magiging honest ako, hindi yun feeling kasi 'di ba sabi mo iniisip mo. So, mahalaga na alam mo yung difference between feelings and thoughts because when you know that it's a feeling, edi i-accept mo kung anong feeling yon and then maghahanap ka ng way para kumbaga mabawasan yung intensity. Pero kung thought kasi yan, ibig sabihin, you're going to think about your thoughts. So, knowing the difference will help you manage your feelings more and manage your thoughts better. Alright. So next naman, dito tayo sa thoughts. Okay pa ba kayo? I'm going through these very quickly. Pero when we think about your thoughts, for example, yung kanina, no, yung sa examples natin, let's be honest and open with ourselves na there's no point in denying, lalo na kung nasa sarili din lang naman natin and wala namang ibang maririnig. Minsan kasi tayo pa yung pinaka judgmental sa mga thoughts natin or sa sarili natin. Pero I think the best way is really to just be open and honest about ourselves and what we're thinking. For example, pag na-hurt ka about what something said, about something that someone said, ano yung underlying thought nun? Maybe I'm not enough, I'm not good enough, I don't think that I'm worthy. You know, it's better to be honest about ourselves when it comes to these things kasi it helps us process better and look for better ways to move forward. Okay, so let's be honest, open, curious. Kumbaga, bakit kaya ganito yung iniisip ko? Bakit ito yung thought ko? Ask yourself kung helpful ba or hindi yung thought na yon. For example, anong isang unhelpful na thought? Lahat ng tao sa mundo hindi trustworthy. So kung ganun na statement, ibig sabihin, hindi ka makikisalamuha, di ba? Or hindi ka magta-trust ng ibang tao kung sa tingin mo lahat ng tao sa mundo hindi trustworthy. But the truth is, there are some people who are trustworthy. So ang mas realistic or mas helpful na thought ay some people are trustworthy, some people are not trustworthy. I can get to know someone to figure that out. 'Di ba? Iba yung magiging action mo kung ganun yung thought mo. Kasi kung yung thought mo agad, everyone is unsafe, everyone doesn't deserve to know me, wala kang lalapitan. Pero kung yung second na sinabi ko, mas magiging open ka, 'di ba? So it's really about asking yourself if it's helpful, if it's ano yung word ko? If it's valid, okay? And then you can relabel and reframe. Like what I said, pwedeng i-change ang mind, pwedeng baguhin ang thoughts na those kinds of things. Okay. So, kaya ako sinabi na kailangan maging curious, open, kasi usually ang nakikita lang natin na thoughts ay nasa surface. Kumbaga, ito lang yung naiisip natin na thoughts natin. Pero yun pala, meron pang thoughts dun sa ilalim ng thoughts na yon. So like what I said earlier, for example, ang thought mo, ayokong makisalamuha sa ibang tao. Kaya ganun yung thought mo kasi yung underlying thought pala nyo nun, no one can be trusted. So, it's good to know kung ano talaga yung underlying thoughts natin kasi yung mga thoughts dito sa taas, madaling mabago yan. Pero yung mas malalim, yun ang mas mahirap na maguhin. And minsan hindi pa natin alam na ganun pala yung pag-iisip natin. So I want you to think about kung ano yung mga talagang beliefs nyo pagdating sa sarili nyo, pagdating sa mga tao, and pagdating sa mundong ginagalawan natin. Because the more aware you are about what these beliefs are, the better able you are to change yung mga thoughts natin. And then, like I said, gaya ng cognitive triangle, magbabago yung buong experience mo just by changing one of these things. Okay, so just just an interesting fact, no? When you go into counseling or therapy services, a lot of counselors or therapists will really help you process through your thoughts para umabot ka sa mga deeper na to. Kasi ganun yung training or background nila. Alright. And last but not the least, ano din naman yung mga pwede natin gawin pagdating sa behaviors or actions natin. These are really in the moment na mga behaviors kasi yun naman talaga ang nagiging problem, I think, with most people. Kaya nagiging unhelpful ang mga behaviors in the long run kasi hindi natin binibigyan ng chance ang body to cope even just in the short run. Parang kumbaga, naghahanap na tayo ng ibang method agad pero yun pala kahit itong simple lang na behaviors meron ng difference or nakakatulong na. So really number one is to pause and take deep breaths. So I know it sounds really simple pero 'di ba minsan nag-hyperventilate na tayo, hindi na natin alam ganun na pala yung feeling, no? So sometimes it takes a moment for us to, "Hay, wait lang, pause pala muna, kailangan kong huminga ng malalim." So even just taking those deep breaths can help us calm ourselves down. Okay. Now, when I say these things, I want you to know that not everything works with everyone. So lalo na kung merong mga talagang mental health concerns ang mga ibang tao, itong mga bagay na 'to may not be the best way to cope for that person. Kaya kailangan nila ng ibang interventions or kailangan pa ng counseling or therapy para mahanap kung ano yung helpful para sa kanila. So, wag kayong pumunta sa lahat ng friends yung sabihin na, "Alam mo, deep breaths lang yan, eh." Walang ganunan ha, mga ading, mga kuya, ate, pastor. This is really just my way of suggesting things that can be helpful. Pero let's not judge people if these things are not helpful for them. Especially ourselves. Kasi baka itry nyo to tapos hindi mag-work. That's okay as well. Let's look for ways that work for you. Parang ganon. Okay, ano pa? We can try guided meditations or mindfulness exercises. Ito, patok na patok talaga ngayon pagdating sa mental health. I-search nyo lang sa internet, meron na kayong makukuha agad. Sa Spotify, sa YouTube, ang daming ganito ngayon. Meron pang mga Christian-based, kumbaga, na they go through prayers with you, they read the Psalms, and minsan yung mga ganong bagay talagang nakakakalma din or nakaka-relax. Ano pa, you can walk around for a bit, lalo na kung talagang stress ka or overwhelmed in the moment. Sometimes just letting yourself do something physical and different for a few moments can help you lower the intensity of that emotion, no? And then what else can you do? You can reach out to someone who can help. So kung maalala niyo po yung first webinar natin, nasabi ko, go to your safe places and safe people. I hope that you have people in your lives who you can go to when you're struggling, when there's something challenging, kasi they can help you process, they can give you assurance, support, encouragement, yung mga ganong bagay. And last but not the least, you can find things that are therapeutic for you. So, pwedeng cooking, pwedeng pag-aalaga ng halaman, pwedeng journaling, writing, songs, all these different things. Kahit ano, talagang the sky is the limit, kumbaga. You can use all these different things to help you process through your thoughts and feelings and your experiences. Okay. So, I know ang dami kong nasabi. So ngayon, I'm going to give you some time. Pwedeng isulat nyo ito or pag-isipan nyo lang. Pero kahit sobrang simple lang na bagay based sa mga na-share ko kanina, no? I-try lang natin. Think of a scenario that you experience. Tapos kahit very simple lang siya, hindi kailangang intense. Pwedeng tinanong ako ng friend ko kung lalabas ba kami ngayon, ano yung naging feelings, thoughts, and behaviors. So ganun lang ka-simple. Pero I want you to think about your own experiences and siguro magbe-break na din tayo. So bibigyan ko kayo ng 20 minutes. I know that's a lot of time. But that's okay kasi if you have questions about this specific thing, then ito din yung time natin para magtanong. So right now, before we go to the next thing, I'm going to give you 20 minutes to take a break or to do this exercise. Okay. So kung okay lang ba yun, pwedeng thumbs up ulit sa mga pwedeng mag-reaction. Are we okay? Okay. So I see those thumbs up. All right. Sige, so I'll see you in 20 minutes at 10:25. Tapos, pero I'll stay here. Tapos kung may questions kayo, pwede nyong gamitin yung chat box to ask me while we're doing this. Okay. Kier, are you there? Try ko lang kung nandito si Kier. Ay, sorry. O baka hindi nag-ano si Kier. Pwede naman ako din. So, 20 minutes, you can think about your cognitive triangles. Kier, okay lang ba magpatugtog ka ng very soft na music para lang may tayo? Nox. Thank you. So, again, if you have questions, please let me know sa chat box. Kung na-stress ba kayo sa cognitive triangle, pwede din. You can let me know your real feelings about the cognitive triangle. All right, last 2 minutes po. So you can come back with your snacks or your breakfast or your coffee. And kung iniisip niyo pa yung cognitive triangle, go ahead. Okay. Ang saya sana kung face-to-face tayo kasi feeling ko mas mapaprocess natin. Pero we're doing the best that we can with what we have. So that's okay. If you have questions po about that, you can let me know. And then we can discuss siguro kung paano pa siya i-apply sa buhay later on. Okay, last 1 minute po. And actually, tapos na yung part heavy sa thoughts natin. So ngayon naman, mag-a-appeal ako sa feelings nyo for this next portion. Okay, sige. Okay, so let's go back. This time, we're going to do something a bit different. So kanina very lecture type ako, teacher Almae, yung PEC students kayong lahat. Ngayon naman, time for self-reflection kasi kanina I know we were in our thoughts a lot na parang ganito pala yung mga bagay. Pero this time I'm going to be talking about something less ano bang term doon? Basta less about your thoughts kumbaga. So let's say you're about to go into a fight, 'di ba, in a boxing ring. So pwede po natin gamitin itong chat box to let me know. Okay. So kung pupunta kayo, makikipag-boxing kayo, paano kayo magpre-prepare para sa match na yon? So pwede niyo i-chat dito sa chat box. Kung gusto nyong mag-unmute, you can let me know, raise your hand. Sa mga boxing enthusiasts dyan, baka gusto nyong i-share kung anong ginagawa ni Manny Pacquiao para mag-prepare. Yeah, pero this time it's open for us to talk a little bit about what this means or kung ano yung experience niyo sa boxing. Ang ano ng seg ko, no, from mental health, tapos biglang ngayon boxing. Promise my point to later on. Okay, so let's say you're in a boxing match. How do you prepare for that match? Sabi po ng mga taga Sevilla UMC, you pray about it, which is true, no? A lot of us really, like, parang ano na yan, default bago tayo pumunta sa kahit ano is we're going to pray about it and ask for guidance. Ano pa po, how else would you prepare for a boxing match? Nakikita ko kayo. Ayan, hi Sevilla UMC. Okay, sabi ni Miss Queenie, training. Yes, of course, diba? Syempre, parang sport din to. So may kasamang training, coaching, all the things. Ano pa po? Okay, so conditioning yourself. Sabi po ni Pastor Jong. Pastor Jong, na-imagine na po talaga kita. So, conditioning yourself emotionally, physically, spiritually, yung parang i-prepare mo sarili mo na, okay, kailangan ganito ang iniisip ko, kailangan okay ang katawan ko, kailangan yung spirituality ko din, ganitong bagay. Okay. Ano pa po? Sino pa pong may thoughts and feelings tungkol sa boxing? Ay, sorry. Meron pa po ba kayong naiisip? Paano ba kayo mag-prepare para sa isang suntukan? Okay, napaisip tuloy kayo. Ano pa kayang gustong sabihin dito ni Almae? Okay, so gaya nga ng mga nasabi nyo kanina, no, there's months that you spend training, di ba, with a coach. You keep yourself healthy by eating well and exercising, gaya ng sabi ni Pastor John, conditioning yourself, your mind, and thinking about your strategy or game plan, ganitong mangyayari, ganyan. You ask your friends and family for support and prayers, and then you pray and hope that things will work out. O, di ba, sa dami ng linista ko dyan, nakuha nyo lahat yun. Congrats. Okay, so this is what we do when we're preparing for certain things, right? We try our best in advance. Ganon, we do a lot of things to prepare. And sometimes taking care of our mental health can feel like you're going into a boxing ring. So when you're handling difficult emotions, when you're going through challenging or stressful things, when you're thinking about relationships in your life, or even just the fact that you need to take care of yourselves, parang minsan it feels like, shucks, lalaban na naman ako. Paano ba to? Anong gagawin ko? So the truth is, siguro kayo nandito ngayon kasi this is part of your preparation, right? For these battles, you want to know what to do when you're in that boxing ring with your mental health, with your mind, and all these things. But once you're in that battle, it can look very different. So gusto ko din yung sabi dito ni Miss Faith na you have to know who you're up against, diba? Knowing what that looks like. Okay. So when things don't go the way we hope, for example, nandun ka na sa situation na yon, nag-prepare ka, tapos ito yung nangyari, tapos it didn't work out the way that you wanted to. Sometimes we feel we're unworthy, and then we look at all the ways that we failed, all the mistakes that we made, and we feel bad about those things, right? And we don't only just feel bad, we think that we're bad. Okay. The other thing is, pag nanalo ka naman, yung results ng exam mo, nung pakikiusap mo sa isang tao na to, hindi tayo nagse-celebrate kasi, shucks, ang liit naman na bagay nun. Hindi kailangang i-celebrate. But the truth is, gaya nga ng sabi ko kanina, boxing ring yan. It's a match. And there's so much risk and uncertainty involved. And sometimes our brains tell us, this is not worth fighting for. So our brains sometimes give us all the reasons why we shouldn't fight, why we shouldn't take care of ourselves, why we shouldn't do uncomfortable things. Kasi gusto niya magstay lang dun sa kung alam niya or yung feeling niya na safe, right? So every time, actually, I want you all to know na kahit hindi kayo sure kung anong mangyayari sa battle na yon, every time you show up, no matter what the outcome is, what you're actually doing is exercising your heart muscle and building courage. Alright. So kahit hindi nyo sure kung anong mangyayari, kahit sobrang takot kayo sa magiging outcome, kahit alam nyo na magiging mahirap, the fact na nagpakita kayo sa laban na yon, ibig sabihin nagpapakita kayo ng courage. And guess what? If it was a hard fight, kung napagod kayo sa fight na yon, kung tipong trinay nyo yung best nyo para alagaan ng mental health nyo, pero medyo nag-lax ng konti, bumalik kayo sa coping na hindi okay, that's okay. You're allowed to rest and recover before you go back out there and say, sige, round 2, pwede pa, parang ganon. Sometimes it's not about winning or losing. Sometimes it's enough to say, I showed up even if it was hard, uncomfortable, risky, and uncertain. That alone is worth celebrating. That alone is worth fighting for. Just the fact that you showed up to those battles day after day, time after time. So, this is a quick, ito yung advocacy ko talaga, and this is my favorite part of giving these talks, is because I hope that this is setting someone free from the chains, kasi alam ko minsan mental health and taking care of yourself can feel like parang there's no way out, or it feels like a box, parang ano ba, paano ba to? Pero I want you to know that mental resilience is not about all these things. It's not about finding a quick fix or skipping the hard parts. Alam niyo yun, na parang laging happy lang, laging okay lang, laging easy. No, that's not what it's about. It's not about getting through with brute force and always barely making it or looking strong. Alam niyo yun, minsan pinipraise kasi natin yung parang, shucks, tong tao na to may pinagdadaanan. Hindi niya pinakita na nahirapan siya, okay siya all the way. Pero diba, there's something to be said about people who come out of things with scars. Na parang, oo nga, linabanan nila. They tried their best. You don't have to look unscarred and totally perfect after something difficult, right? Or ewan ko kung makaka-relate kayo, pero sometimes kasi we're just surviving, kumbaga, na parang push pa rin ng push hangga't kaya, parang ganun. And at the end of all that, we don't know, or hindi natin na-realize na nabu-burn out na pala tayo and we're just barely surviving, parang ganun ang peg. It's not about getting to the other side perfectly, the same way every time. So I don't know if you can relate to this, pero sometimes challenges feel like it's the same thing over and over again. And feeling natin dahil same thing, pag ginawa natin to, ibig sabihin magiging okay din. Pero minsan, it's not that way. Even if it looks like it's the same challenge, most of the time it's not. It's going to ask you to be a little different every time. So we have to be flexible and adjust, na parang looking for different ways to show up to difficult things in our lives. And last but not the least, it's definitely not about waiting for the challenge to change or disappear. I know na ito yung number one natin na prayer usually with God, no? Na parang, Lord, please take away this challenge. Please let this be okay. And all those prayers are okay. Of course, it's okay to pray about the Lord taking away disease, about taking away struggle and all these things. And to wait in faith for the response, right? But while we're in there, even the fact that we're waiting for these prayers to come to pass is already a way of responding and showing up with courage. Kasi sa totoo, hindi nga natin alam yung magiging resulta or outcome, pero we're still showing up every day and we're not backing out of all these different struggles. Even if you're resting or you're recovering, that doesn't mean that you're already going away from the battle. Kailangan mo lang ng break, pero eventually, babalik ka din. Parang ganon. So, true mental resilience is knowing and accepting where you are. Kung ano ba din ang mga thoughts and feelings mo before, during, and after each fight that you enter. It's about taking care of yourself in the best way. Alam ko kasi na minsan parang iniisip natin, maibubuga pa naman, kaya pang tumulong ng ibang tao. Pero to the point na nakakalimutan din naman nating alagaan ang sarili natin. And the truth is, you're only able to take care of others in the best way if you're also taking care of yourself. I think God doesn't want us to overextend ourselves, parang ganon, or to make it seem like He doesn't care about our own health. I think God wants you to know that He does care about you, and you don't have to let go of yourself for the sake of everyone else, parang ganon. It's also trying to figure things out one step at a time. So you don't have to know the whole thing. You don't have to know all the steps to be better right away. Pwedeng one step at a time lang talaga. Okay, this time I feel better. This time, nag-deep breathing ako, gumana. Okay, sige, one step na yon. Tapos isip ka ulit the next day kung anong gagawin. And sometimes you can do this with the help of others, with your friends, with the safe people that we talked about before, right? And last but not the least, it's being willing to find hope and courage to keep going back into the boxing ring to try again. So I know life is just going to keep coming at you with different situations, with different challenges. Parang, Lord, wave after wave na lang, di ba? Hindi pa ako naka-recover sa last na to. Pero I hope that you are able to have this conversation with Lord na it's okay for you to rest. It's okay for you to recover from all the hard things, and then to find yourself back into another fight when you're ready later on. Ganon. And I know that, kaya nga nung sabi ko kanina, the brain is telling you, wag ka nang lumaban, hindi worth it, mahihirapan lang tayo, masasaktan lang tayo, all the things, no? Pero at the end of the day, it really just takes courage to keep showing up to your life and to your situations, despite of not knowing the circumstances. Okay. And okay. So, with that, that is my last slide for today. Alam ko marami akong shinare ngayong umaga and malamang marami kayong thoughts and feelings. So for those who want this time to kind of debrief and talk about what you heard this morning, I will now open our talk to question and answer. And siguro if you have questions generally about mental health, pwede din. And if I know the answer, okay. Pero kung hindi, we will look for the answers together. And alam ko nandito po si Pastor Judy and si Ate Naomi. Ayan. So, meron din po tayong psychologist dito na pwedeng tumulong siguro. Sorry, Ate, in-on the spot kita ng slide. Pero lang ka, ready ka naman. Okay. Sabi din dito ni Pastor Lee, he would like to add yung asawa ni Lot na naging pillar of salt nung sinabak sila ng challenge. I understood when she looked back nung sinusunog na yung Sodom and Gomorrah dahil yung heart niya ay nasa iniwan niyang mga treasures. The heart affects really the thoughts and the feelings. Oh, yeah. So, nagre-reflect si Pastor Bastina no, tungkol sa relationship talaga nung heart, nung feelings natin, nung thoughts, and nung behaviors. Yeah. So they do, all these things really do have an effect, and sometimes they can help us cope, and sometimes they're not so helpful. Pero it's about thinking about the ways that we find them helpful and help our brain be more helpful, kumbaga. Okay. So meron pa po ba kayong questions, comments, suggestions? Pwede din. Kung anong mga reflection nyo din tungkol sa naging usapan natin ngayong umaga about mental health, resilience, finding courage. Yeah. Okay, habang siguro naghihintay or habang nag-iisip kayo ng questions nyo, i-share ko na po sa chat box yung link for the handout for today. Alright. So I'm also trusting you with these resources. Let's use them wisely and ethically. Mga ganun eh. Pero I hope that it will be helpful for you. Pwede naman talaga siyang i-share. Ang mahalaga lang may credits, diba? Or hindi natin kukunin. And then, basta, alam niyo na po yung mga ganun. Okay. So that's the handout for today. Just a recap, we talked about mental health in general. We talked about the cognitive triangle and our brains and how to process our thoughts, feelings, and actions so that they'll be more helpful to us. Tapos yung last part, we talked about what it looks like to be courageous, what it looks like to show up to your challenges and circumstances with more bravery rather than expecting perfection, rather than wanting things to always be happy or good, kumbaga. Pero allowing ourselves all these different experiences in life. Okay. Oh, care question ni Pastor Eric. Okay. Tanungin po natin si Care. Care, okay lang ba na i-send ko sa'yo yung handout tapos i-forward din sa email addresses ng lahat ng participants? Okay, ang question po ni Teacher Rosie ay, "Sir, Pastor Eric, usap po kami ni Kier kung paano po ito. If not po, you can send your email po dito siguro, tapos i-send ko po sa inyo later to be sure. Pero may question po dito si Teacher Rosie, sabi niya, "The pandemic situation has paved way for some people to be easily disappointed. What should be our behaviors, feeling, and thoughts to these people to avoid being negatively affected? Is it all right to ignore others' disappointment to be resilient?" Oh, wow. That's a great question, Teacher Rosie. Okay, so I'm thinking about how to answer this question. First of all, that's true po, no, na siguro, gaya nga ng sabi ko the past webinar, no one saw this pandemic happening. So we're all figuring out how to cope with this pandemic. And some people may find it more difficult than others. So ang tanong po ata dito, paano mo proprotektahan kumbaga yung sarili mo? Kasi yung iba, ganito, ang experience, pero ikaw, iba, parang ganon. So, I think I want to answer this by saying, number one, um, okay po yung sinabi niyo po na it's okay to be aware. Kung ikaw hindi ka masyadong disappointed, that's okay. And it's also being able to accept na siguro yung ibang tao mas may binubuhat sila na weight, no, na hindi po nila na mas nagsa-struggle na po sila. So the question is, paano po yung i-ignore mo ba sila? For example, kung parent ka po tas anak mo po yun, 'di ba ang hirap na i-ignore kasi syempre you care about this person. So siguro ang magiging tanong ko na lang po, what is it about their disappointment that's not sitting okay with you, parang ganon. So siguro tanungin po natin ang sarili natin na bakit po tayo naaapektuhan na yung mga sa paligid natin mas nahihirapan. Siguro kasi we're also feeling na baka po meron tayong hindi nakikita po sa sarili natin na, ay, disappointed din pala ako. So siguro nagsusurvive din lang po tayo kaya mahirap na makita yung disappointment or yung pinagdadaanan ng ibang tao. Yeah. Okay. Is mental resiliency not about winning life battles? This is showing off less. Yes, actually, Pastor Jong, ang dami po. I appreciate po these questions, no? Pero at the end of the day po kasi parang I'm not asking you to disregard what others are experiencing para or disregard what you're experiencing. Kasi sa totoo, hindi po siya or na statement. It's either I'm strong or you're not. Parang all these things are actually pwedeng mag-coincide or pwedeng pareha silang mag-exist. Na someone is struggling, I feel uncomfortable with that struggle and that's okay. Parang ganon. We don't have to expect everyone's experiences to be similar to ours for it to be true, for it to be valid. All right. So someone else's mental health struggles is not a reflection of how well you're doing or what you think about life, parang ganon. So being able to separate siguro po and allowing both things to be true. That people do struggle in life. I'm not struggling right now and that's okay. At the same time, I believe that people can get better. I believe that there's hope for everyone. Seeing other people struggle doesn't change yung belief nyo po na yon na it's about winning life battles or something. Does that make sense po? I hope it does. I know it's hard kasi talagang china-challenge ko po yung mga kumbaga core beliefs po natin pagdating sa mga tao, pagdating sa mga situation, pagdating sa buhay. So I appreciate that po, no, Teacher Rosie and Pastor Jong, that you're being willing to share yung thoughts nyo kasi I don't think that you're the only ones who are struggling with accepting or acknowledging the hard things about mental health. Okay, so someone also asked me anonymously or through direct message, what happens if someone doesn't want to seek help pero talagang nagsa-struggle? Kasi nga iniisip yung maaring outcomes, baka kasi bigyan ng label, baka i-ask ka na gawin ng isang bagay na ayaw mo, all these things, no? Siguro what I'm going to say is, alam ko dahil bago ang mental health, dahil maraming stigma around mental health illnesses or disorders, parang very scary siya. The thought of going to someone and then they're going to say something about your mental health kasi baka ang iniisip mo, you failed in some way, you did something wrong. Hindi ko po kasi alam kung na-experience nyo to, pero for example, pag pumunta ka sa ospital tapos binigyan ka ng label na okay, ito ang sakit mo. And in some ways, feeling mo okay lang kasi baka wala kang control dun sa sakit na yon. Pero pagdating kasi sa mental health, ang iniisip ng ibang tao, when something goes wrong, then it's all on you, then it's all your fault. But the truth is, just like any other disease, any other illness, there are a lot of factors that go into someone's mental health. So I'm not I hope that there are no mental health professionals out there. And I think I want to say this, no one will blame you for experiencing the struggle that you're having right now, especially if you go to a mental health professional. Ang alam ko din, pag pumunta tayo sa mga mental health professionals, they will try to be as accommodating, I guess, to you kung ano din yung needs mo and yung concerns. Kasi for example, for me, sa mga clients ko, and I think I'm going to be very personal and siguro iba yung thoughts ng mga ibang mental health professionals, no? Pero for me personally, if the label is not helpful for you, then I'm not going to label you. Because what we're looking for is ways to help you become better able to cope with life. And if yung label na yun hindi helpful for you at the moment, then that's okay. Pero for other people kasi, hinahanap nila yung label kasi it allows them to feel parang validated na, shucks, ito pala yung rason bakit ganito. Pero nga, depende nga talaga sa experiences ng mga tao yon. And siguro ang sasabihin ko na lang, I know it feels scary, diba? To ask for help, to be given a diagnosis about what's really happening. Pero kasi on the other side of that is, if we don't know what's going on, then you're also going to keep staying in the same place that you are. Parang ganon. So, I understand if it's hard, pero at the end of the day talagang I hope that we're willing to look for ways to feel better. If you're not ready yet, then we can also talk about that. Ibang issue naman yun. Okay. So si Pastor Eric, nagbigay siya ng kanyang mga thoughts and reflections. Okay. Okay. Alright. So you can read through his thoughts po siguro about this dito sa chat box. Yeah. Pero ang point ko lang po talaga earlier, like, talagang look for people that you can talk to ask for help. Kung hindi pa professional yun agad, baka pwedeng friend muna, baka pwedeng pastor, baka someone that you trust first, just so that you feel more supported through that process. Tapos, I really do believe na kailangan kasi patanggal yung stigma pagdating sa mental health para mas madali para sa mga tao na magpakonsulta sa mga professionals. Kasi the reason why people are scared is because it is likely that they're judged. So, yeah. Ganon. Kasi the more that we blame people for their mental health struggles, the less that they're going to be willing to ask for help. Yeah. Ang hirap po talaga and sensitive po talaga tong topic na ito. Pero for me, I'm going to side with the people who are really struggling because at the end of the day, sila yung mas may kailangan ng help. 'Di ba po? People who are criticizing, who are being judgmental, they have their own things going on. Pero people who are not able to find the resources because of those people, I think they deserve more attention, kumbaga. Okay, so eto, how can you handle people na sa self-harm if takot siya humingi ng tulong? Okay. So, when it comes to self-harming, let me explain a little bit, no? Minsan, confused kasi tayo na parang, hala, paano nila nagagawa yun? So, again, let's hold our judgment kasi we don't know how their brain is, what they're reacting to, and at the end of the day, judgment is not helpful. So, with that being said, people self-harm because it might be easier to see the pain outside than to think about how your emotions are and to sit in the pain, kumbaga. So kaya nila, ang tinatawag doon externalization or parang pinapalabas nila into physical pain yung pwedeng nararamdaman nila inside. So how can you handle people na nagsa-self-harm? So kung maalala niyo yung first webinar ko nung una, in any relationship, talagang important that we're creating safety. So the person feels safe around us. The person feels na they can tell us what's really going on. Kasi when these things are in place, then the more able you are to say na pwede niyong pag-usapan. Napansin ko na meron kang scratches or may dito. Is there a way that I can help you? Parang ganon. What do you think you need right now? If they don't want to ask for help, then again, parang support system talaga, yun ang magiging role nyo lang. Na sabihin, concerned ako sa'yo, I want you to feel better. When you want to ask for more help, pwede natin gawin yun together. Parang ganon. Okay. Naisip ko po kasi si Doc Naomi, nandyan pa po ba kayo? Yes. Baka gusto pong mag-share ni Doc tungkol sa self-harming and what to do if someone is experiencing self-harming. Kasi ang scary sa self-harming, lalo na kung teenager or at a lower, mas bata. Siyempre, yung mga ganong bagay, pwedeng isang mistake lang or isang hindi lang okay na hindi lang na-control na pwedeng mas malaki na yung risk nun, no? So let's not take it lightly as well kasi risky talaga siya. Pero at the same time, talagang kailangan din ng interventions yung ganon in the long run. Pero yun, it's also knowing kung ano din lang yung kaya nating ibigay na tulong. So it may feel like the well-being or the welfare of people that we care about, parang nasa atin nakalagay yung buong health nila. Pero at the end of the day, if you're being a good friend, if you're doing all the things to create safety, to create trust in the relationship, if you let them know na ito yung mga nakikita ko tungkol sa'yo, are you willing to ask for help, and they still don't want to receive that help, then we can just be patient, diba? And wait for them. Kasi sa huli, sila din lang naman talaga ang magde-decide pagdating sa mga ganong bagay. Like I said, nung first actually, alam ko na mahirap talaga. Lalo na if you're struggling with mental health and then reaching out to others can feel very difficult. So it's really about finding the courage to figure out what will be most helpful for you in the moment. So kahit small steps lang yan, hindi kailangan agad-agad na mental health professional. You can talk to, you can think about it first within yourself kung ano din yung sa tingin mo na magiging pinaka-helpful para sa'yo. Like I said, yung brains natin, di ba, minsan hindi nga niyan talaga nasasabi kung ano talaga yung pinaka-helpful. So, try din talaga natin na i-assess kung yung decision ba natin tungkol sa mga bagay, yun ba talaga yung pinaka-helpful or hindi. And at the end of the day, whatever you choose, just going out there is already brave enough. So the fact that you're still here, the fact that you're asking questions, the fact that you want to know more, the fact that you're scared, it's okay. Those are all part of building your courage muscles, so that you can find ways to help yourself better. Yun yung masasabi ko about asking for help, reaching out to others. And I think it's a good point to know that yung mga nagde-direct message po sa akin na nagsasabi nahihirapan sila na mag-share ng thoughts and feelings nila. I think that's because it's easy for us to label, it's easy for us to judge people based on what they're experiencing. So ito po talaga yung negative consequence nung ganun, no? So if we're really more open, if we're really more curious about other people and their struggles and what they're going through, then that makes it easier for them to ask for help. At the same time, alam ko baka masaktan kayo sa next na sasabihin ko, pero people who are more attuned or people who are more aware about their own pain, about their own struggles, about their own challenges, are more accepting of other people's pain and struggle. So, I'm going to put that out there. Manatak. Kung hindi nyo nagustuhan yung statement na yun, then I think there's something there as well. Pero yeah, it's talagang mahirap po na makita na nagsistruggle ang mga mahal natin sa buhay. Alam ko po yun. So it takes a lot of faith din po talaga to be able to say, wow, you're struggling. This doesn't change anything about my situation. This doesn't mean I'm doing anything wrong. This doesn't mean that life isn't good. Parang ganon. Kasi nga, mas malawak talaga yung gusto siguro ni Lord na ma-experience natin sa buhay pagdating sa ating mga thoughts and feelings and emotions and all the things. So, hayaan natin na ipakita ni Lord. Yeah. So, totoo, no? Talagang sinasabi din po sa akin sa chat ngayon na sometimes, and sasabihin ko po ito kasi I want the workers to be aware as well. So, hindi naman to judgment on the workers as well or pwedeng ates and kuyas in general, pero talaga a lot of young people are probably struggling right now in this season. And the more that we expect them to cope in certain ways, the less that they're going to open up about what's really going on, and the less that we're able to, kumbaga, troubleshoot or help them move forward. So just because you hear people struggling, it doesn't change the nature of our God and how He can work in people's lives. I think yun kasi yung nagiging mahirap na i-balance, no, na when you see someone struggling, hay, ibig sabihin nun wala ng faith, mga ganong bagay. But I don't think that's true. I think that God is a God of both things. Kaya nga pwede ka talagang mag-mourn, pwede ka talagang mahirapan because there's a God who you need in your life. Ganon. Yeah. Okay. So for those young people who are struggling right now and who may need more resources, niisip ko kung ano din yung pwede kong i-offer. Pero siguro if you really need more advice, more consultation, more help around that, talagang you can message me sa Facebook and we can talk about in detail kung ano man yung mga gusto nyong i-debrief. Yeah. Pero again, like what I'm saying, talagang we need, as ates and kuyas, as people in the ministry, as people who are in charge of our flocks, kumbaga. And I know that pastors and workers are also dealing with their own stuff today. So ang hirap, no? Kasi lahat tayo nagsa-struggle tapos naghihilaan minsan. Pero let's siguro ang prayer ko na lang for everyone is to find courage. To find courage to find ways to help you feel better, to be better sa thoughts and feelings. Okay. How can we handle thoughts in our mind kahit ayaw mong isipin pero it comes intentionally? Okay, so ang tawag dito, I think yung sinasabi ay yung parang feeling mo wala kang control sa thoughts mo, no? Panay lang yung 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 pasok kahit ayaw mong isipin pero iniisip. Ang daming puwedeng gawin when it comes to that and marami kasing puwedeng factors when it comes to thoughts and how they're coming to our minds. Pero siguro being open, like I said, and curious, saan ba galing yung thought na yun? Ano kaya yung talagang mas malalim pa na pinanggalingan ng thought na yun? Kung in the moment hindi mo kayang mag-process, gawin natin yung mga deep breathing, ganyan-ganyan, puwedeng i-distract. Pero when you're ready to face those thoughts, maybe asking yourself, anong meron sa thought na 'to? Bakit siya nagpaparamdam? Ano kaya ang gusto niyang sabihin sa'kin? Ano kaya ang kailangan kong i-address? Being open and curious about yourself, yun, feeling ko one of the ways. So ang question po na isa, what is the most important thing to do when other people judge you? Okay. Okay. So, ah, sana 'no, puwede kong i-counsel lahat-lahat. Pero in general, when people have judgments over you, 'di ba, I think do the whole cognitive triangle approach na accept that you feel hurt, for example, or kung ano talaga yung emotion na nararamdaman mo dahil dun. And then think about na are the things that they're saying valid about you? Parang ipaglaban mo din naman ang sarili mo, 'di ba, sa sarili mo. So, coming up with more helpful thoughts na this person's judgment isn't a reflection of who I really am, gano'n. So allowing yourself to have more helpful thoughts rather than negative thoughts. And then puwede din naman sa actions, yung gaya ng pinag-usapan natin kanina. Okey. What should I do if I'm worried about a friend or a relative? Again, ito lagi 'tong tinatanong sa'kin 'no, and I'm going to go back to yung lagi kong sinasabi na it's really about creating safe and meaningful relationships. So kung walang trust with that friend, kung walang safety, basta kung walang trust and safety, it's hard to to have more say in their decisions. Pero just being able to say, for example, "Hey, I'm worried about you. Parang may narinig ako tungkol sa mental health, tapos naisip kita. Totoo ba ay may maitutulong ba ako? Baka gusto mong may gawin tayo or something." So, just simply asking. And if they don't accept that help, then you've already done your part, kumbaga. What if your superior closes mind to the problem you want to solve? Okay, these are harder questions, ah. Dapat bang mag-ano na tayo, parang pang Tony Talks po 'tong mga tanong niyo today. Okay. What if your superior closed his mind to the problem you want to solve? Again, I'm not here to give you specific solutions to your problems, no. At the end of the day, I think that when you process within yourself, alam ko mas mahirap kasi yung tipong, please just tell me the answer para alam kong gagawin ko. Pero I'm going to challenge you a bit this morning and really ask you to process din kung ano yung mga bakit gusto mong baguhin nung yung superior mo, I mean, kung ano yung talagang intent ng questions, and processing within yourself and arriving at a solution that you think is most helpful for you. Okay, same thing 'no with overthinking, na-answer ko na yun kanina. It's really about being open and curious with ourselves, asking, not being afraid. I mean, being afraid and yet being courageous enough to ask, "Saan ba galing 'tong mga thoughts na 'to? Ano ba yung gusto nilang sabihin sa'kin, tungkol sa akin?" Gano'n. Another question, do we need to explain ourselves to others or a friend? Curious ako bakit yun yung question na natanong sa'kin ngayong umaga. I guess I'm curious, does it feel like you have to explain yourself in order to be valid? Does it feel like if you don't explain yourself, hindi ka na accepted or wanted? I'm also curious, ano pa ba yung hindi, yun na pala yun. So I guess yung question ko is ibabalik ko din sa'yo, parang Yeah, for you, do you think you need to explain yourself? Or are there people in your life na hindi mo kailangang i-explain ang sarili mo and it's going to be okay? Anong nasa-serve na purpose nung pag-explain? Yeah. Mas nahirapan ata kayo dun sa tinanong ako tapos binalik ko din yung mga tanong, no? Okay. Meron pa po bang ibang questions? Alam ko 11 na po tayo and hanggang 11 lang po ang ating workshop for today. Teacher Rosie, saan na po kayo?
Ayan.
Okay.
May mga questions pa po ba? Ang daming questions na.
Hirap nga po namang mga tanong nila, teacher. Pero it's okay. I'm glad na you're asking questions, diba? Nagiging courageous din ako na parang kahit hindi ko alam kung paano talaga sagutin. Sige, we will try our best. So, malamang after nito, may debriefing din na magaganap dito sa aking isip. Pero thank you, no, for all your questions and definitely your honesty. Even pagdating sa judgments and all, just the fact that we're able to talk about how difficult it is to not judge people, talagang okay na okay po yun, rather than not talking about it at all.